This is Biography, celebrating 10 years on A&E. For July 24th, 1997, Biography with Jack Perkins.
Egomaniacal, arrogant, flamboyant, a few of the words used to describe Donald Trump, builder of tall buildings, collector of blonde wives. In the 80s, he was called the boy billionaire. 5 years ago, he was down and just about out. First, a messy divorce from wife Ivana sent him spinning. Then he saw his fortune turn into $900 million worth of bad debt. Bad deals, bad decisions, almost knocked him out. But it looks like the Donald is back. The man who defined the art of the deal is back in the black. He recently joined the Forbes 400 as one of the richest men in America. They estimated his wealth at $450 million, a figure that Trump complains is too low. The only negative on Trump's balance sheet today comes in the romance column. He and his second wife, Marla Maples, split up in May amidst cynical reports that Trump was trying to beat the deadline on their prenuptial agreement. But the tabloid reports didn't bother him. From top to bottom and back again, he has never done anything quietly. Combining ego and ambition, Donald Trump is a symbol of capitalism at its best and its worst.
Here he is.
I'm having by far the best business year I've ever had in my life. It's never been like this. They all talk about Donald Trump in the 80s was so great and all this. I mean, nothing has been like I've had in the last year and a half.
Donald is someone who adores publicity. He manufactures publicity. He is like 6 feet tall, but his ego is 7'11".
Donald, so about this $20 million you won, was it really 20 bucks that you won? And Donald just laughed and said, nah, it was more than that.
Many of these very wealthy people have chosen Trump Tower, and I think it's a very important step for New York. I think it's a vital step for New York.
Trump is, in a sense, one of the great PR men ever. I mean, he has actually succeeded in creating value from his own name by his absolute, unswerving dedication to self-promotion. After a while, people do become famous for being famous, and that's what he's done with his properties.
For the last 2 decades, the name Donald Trump has become almost synonymous with the New York City skyline. And as the 1990s headed for the end of the millennium, he was there adding one of his latest Trump triumphs. It was almost as big as his ego.
Trump International is the most successful condominium ever built in the history of this country. No single condominium building has ever done numbers like this building has done.
It was his latest deal. He had taken control of the old Gulf and Western building and turned it around. He gave it the Trump touch of gold, crystal, and a skin of gleaming glass. He has taken over the penthouse for himself and his family. From there, they can look out over the city he has conquered. It wasn't easy. Donald Trump was born across the East River in the borough of Queens into a middle-class family. His father, Fred, was a hard-working, industrious builder. He never had the chance for a college education. He was too busy making a living, trying to support not only his widowed mother, but his brother and sister as well. By the age of 19, Fred Trump had built his first house and established his own construction company. When the Depression hit and the bottom dropped out of the building business, he moved his company to Brooklyn and started putting up solid brick houses that low-income families could afford. When he was 30 years old, he found he had to make time in his busy schedule for someone else.
I went with my sister and her husband to a party. I didn't want to go. I did not want to go, but I went.
Her name was Mary MacLeod from Scotland.
And that night, God was looking over my shoulder and met Mr. Trump. The first night we met, he went home, he told his mother Mom, you know what? Tonight I met the girl I think I want to marry.
In 1936, Scotland lost a lass, and Fred Trump gained a wife, Donald Trump's future mother. Fred moved Mary into a quiet Queens neighborhood.
We set up housekeeping right here in Jamaica Estates. The family started arriving and we had to make room for them. We built this house.
When World War II ended in 1945, there was a housing shortage as the returning GIs started their families and the baby boom began. There was an insatiable demand for low-cost, multi-unit housing, and that was what Fred Trump knew best. His business took off, and so did his own family. The Trumps had 5 children, Mary Ann, Fred Jr., and Elizabeth.
Then came Donald. The youngest, of course, is Robert.
I think my most vivid memory is when my mother would be waiting when we all tumble in after school every day, and Donald would always come in the door asking, "Mom, I want 2 lettuce and tomatoes with mustard." Okay. Sandwiches.
He was more aggressive than the others. He was a boy, full of mischief.
We used to call him, when he was a little kid, when he had that brat-like quality, the great I am.
The great I Am would attend the Kew Forest School in Queens, and even before his kindergarten days there, he was already learning something else from his father.
One of the things I learned from being with my father is how to build. I learned it as a 4-year-old, sitting playing with blocks, and he'd be on a telephone speaking with contractors.
Donald enjoyed going off to the construction site, riding the bulldozer with the bulldozer drivers, and learning about building from the bottom up, because that was very important to him and to my father.
His ability to get along on construction sites did not carry over to school. He was disruptive and once punched his music teacher in the eye because he thought the teacher was incompetent.
I never respected authority. I was a little wise guy, a little brat.
After the 7th grade, his father decided to put him someplace where there was no breaking the rules, the New York Military Academy. There, he ran into Major Ted DeBias, who over the next 5 years would reshape this little wise guy into a responsible cadet.
You just couldn't mess around with this guy. So you had to acclimate, and you had to sort of learn, how do you get through a guy like this? I've never met a guy like this. I mean, you said the wrong thing, and you'd end up in a very negative position. I mean, this guy would come at you and just knock the hell out of you until you got it right.
I was a tough cookie, yes, I was, to all the cadets. He was not my project. He was just another cadet that needed a little more attention than some of the others. So I used to give him a little more attention, a little more punishment. So he would toe the line.
The young Donald Trump was a natural athlete, and his mentor taught him something in the sports arena that he would translate later into his business life.
We used to investigate a lot of teams that we played in football, baseball, basketball. So we kind of prepared for each team, and we try to find the weaknesses and go after the weaknesses. We had a motto, I always had one, that winning is not everything, it's the only thing.
Whatever Major DeBias was doing, it was working. In 5 years, Donald changed. He became a star athlete and an honor student. He was promoted to cadet captain and put in charge of the honor guard.
His appearance was always outstanding. He always took a great deal of pride. If I put 10 cadets in a room and I put him in there, so I'm going to be back in 10 minutes and I'm going to pick out the best looking cadet, he would come out either number 1 or number 2 or number 3. He had to be number 1 or else nothing else.
I was, in fact, leading the parade of New York Military Academy down Fifth Avenue.
In the 1963 Columbus Day Parade, Cadet Trump marched down the street he would one day claim as his own.
Who would have known that right at the major corner of Fifth Avenue someday I'd have buildings going up?
It would not be the last parade Donald Trump would lead.
There are a few people who have that electric quality when they walk into a room. Donald Trump has it. It was a gift. It's not something you develop. It was there. It was there when he was 13 years old. He was the kind of guy who people tended to follow from a very early age.
When he graduated from the New York Military Academy in 1964, there were a lot of opportunities opening up for him, even professional baseball.
He was batting at that time over 400. He was captain of the team. He was very good in baseball, outstanding in baseball, because Art Didmar came down from the Philadelphia Phillies to talk to him about going into the minor leagues. And he said to him, "No, thank you, I'm going to go to college." That was his words to Mr. Didmar. So Mr. Didmar got in his car and left.
Donald Trump was going to do what his father was never able to do, go to college, first to Fordham University in New York. After 2 years, he decided to study business at the prestigious Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. When he graduated from there, he could have gone into any sort of business he wanted, but it seemed that he was destined to follow his father into the business that had dominated his life.
I remember one time he made a replica of a building his father was in throes of building at that time right here in Jamaica, called the Highlander. And it was so exact, you couldn't believe. It was every little part of that was exactly like the picture of the building his father was building. So you see, it started very early.
I wanted to go into the business. My father was in Brooklyn and Queens, and he built middle-income housing. And I wanted to bring that to the next step.
But Donald Trump was about to do something his father never dreamed of teaching him. The younger Trump would go beyond his father's business in Brooklyn and Queens. He was going for the gold, across the river to the high-rent New York City borough of Manhattan.
This is the Tony Manero Saturday Night Fever story of the guy who, makes the decision to cross the bridge. Donald, though he grew up in a wealthy family, truly grew up on the other side of the bridge. And for him to come into Manhattan was a big leap.
I wanted to come to Manhattan. I had an apartment that was actually no bedroom. I had a studio apartment. I had a bed in the middle of the living room. This was my first apartment.
The great I Am was soon to become the great Donald. But first, he had to prove himself in the great city. He knew what he wanted to do, as he told his best friend in college, "I'm going to change the skyline of Manhattan." But you just don't blow into Manhattan and take over. You need to make connections. And Donald Trump knew how to make connections.
You're watching real estate mogul Donald Trump on Biography. A&E's look at Donald Trump continues on Biography.
Donald Trump found that breaking into business circles in Manhattan required breaking into its society. So he went where the influential people went, places like the exclusive Le Club and Studio 54. Eventually, he made friends with a powerful celebrity lawyer, the notorious Roy Cohn, who got him connected.
I met Donald back in the Stone Age. He was just fresh out of Wharton. It was a dinner party in New York where all the top movers and shakers were. And being piloted around was this young, tall drink of water with blonde hair named Donnie Trump. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody cared. But his pilot was Roy Cohn, whom everybody knew. Roy introduced me to him, and he said, "See this kid? This kid is going to own New York one day." I said, "Yeah, lots of luck. Pass the gravy."
In 1974, everything seemed to be in place for Donald Trump. He had opened his first office in Manhattan, and he saw the chance to pull off his first big deal.
I saw my opportunity around 1974 or 5 because there was a real estate depression. And I took some free options to property in Manhattan.
And one of the first properties he took control of that way was the failing Commodore Hotel. Located in the heart of Midtown Manhattan, he was going to bring it back to life, and with it, rejuvenate the entire area.
When I first began what is now the Grand Hyatt Hotel, I went to the banks and nobody wanted to give me money because, number one, I was pretty much untested. Although I had done very well in the Brooklyn world and the Queens world, I was pretty much untested. It's like you have to now step up to the next level, and they were not really willing to get me money.
That did not stop him. Donald Trump never took no for an answer.
He's a person unplagued by self-doubt. You know, a lot of people in this world feel better when they are in the presence of someone who is certain. Well, Donald Trump embodies certainty, and it took him an enormous distance in the business world.
May 4th, 1975 is a milestone in the life of Donald Trump's deal-making. He called a press conference to announce that he had made a deal with the Hyatt chain to go into a partnership to rebuild the old Commodore. That was only part of his amazing deal. This unknown, untried dealmaker applied for and received a 40-year tax abatement from the city. Then, with Hyatt and the city in his corner, he made deals with banks and a prestigious private investment company to give him hefty loans. He still wasn't finished. He then persuaded the city to accept his plan to cover the old concrete facade of the Commodore with gleaming glass. The first master deal of his life became a whirlwind of successful negotiations, a pattern for the rest of his life. His whirlwind behavior carried over to his romantic life.
I was then a director of the Miss Universe pageant, and all he wanted to do was to meet all the girls, Miss Sweden, Miss this, Miss that, all blondes. He met them all. Nobody else was allowed near the girls. Donald Trump ended up with all of them. So I thought, this guy is really pretty sharp. Then he meets Ivana, another blonde, but this one was smart. This one knew exactly how to work him, and she did.
I get a telephone call. He said, Mom, I'm here with Ivana. And could we stop at the house? I said, of course you could stop. And they came out here, and we had a cup of tea. And that was when they announced that they would like to get married.
The stylish woman who had captivated the Playboy was Ivana Zelničkova-Winkelmeyer. She was an Olympic skier from Czechoslovakia via Canada, where she had become a top fashion model. She had moved to New York after meeting Donald in Canada, and 10 months later they were married in Marble Collegiate Church, where some of New York's social elite have said their vows for generations. They moved into a modern apartment overlooking Central Park.
I kind of grew up in the early days of the marriage with Ivana and Donald, before they became this huge powerhouse, when she was just a blonde and he was just a guy, and they got together. They became extremely powerful. It was symbiotic.
Donald had high regard for Ivana's taste in decorating, so he put her in charge of the interior design of the Hyatt Hotel. It took 2 years, but in September of 1980, the first major deal of his life finally became a going concern. The Grand Hyatt Hotel opened its doors for business.
I mean, you never know if someone's good until they do it. The Grand Hyatt Hotel, when I built it reestablished that whole Grand Central Terminal area. It was in disarray. It was really ready to go down, and it totally reestablished the area.
The Grand Hyatt was just the beginning. While getting ready for the hotel's grand opening, Donald Trump was involved already in his next deal, the biggest one so far. He bought the property next to Tiffany's on New York's swanky Fifth Avenue. But more than that, he got the air rights over the prestigious jewelry store. Air rights may not mean much anywhere else, but in crowded Manhattan, the right to build straight up is pure gold. Now, not just his presence, but his name would tower over the city. Construction began on what he dubbed the Trump Tower, a 68-story building, the tallest residential concrete-walled building in Manhattan. Even Mayor Ed Koch, never easy to impress, came to pay homage to Donald Trump's tower.
May these walls withstand the winters of endless years. May all who dwell within know only happiness. And may the windows of this building forever look out upon a place of peace and prosperity.
Very nice. Thank you. Very
The
nice.
Trump Tower was not just another New York City skyscraper. Even jaded New Yorkers were impressed with how it was constructed in brass, reflective glass, and rare peach-colored marble that Donald and Ivana discovered on one of their many trips to Europe.
The atrium even came complete with a waterfall, 80 feet high.
It's like going into another world. There's first a silence, then you see the waterfall, you hear it, and you forget about where you are, even in New York City. So the building has a certain magic to it.
He is a chip off the old block. This is my father, Fred. Right.
Fred Trump came to the topping off ceremony at Trump Tower. If there had ever been any rivalry between Donald and his father, it was replaced with outright respect.
I think his father's reaction was, he's in another world. He's bigger and more glamorous and more successful and more connected than I will ever be. And I think he admired him.
If some New Yorkers thought it was all a conceit, they soon learned that they would have to get accustomed to it.
Trump Tower is one of the most successful buildings ever built. Knowing how to build and knowing what to build. You know, it's something that I think I do very well.
And when it comes to construction, from Trump Tower to his costly Trump Park and Trump Palace condominiums, he is a perfectionist. His executives have stories of just how obsessive he can be.
I had the flu, I couldn't even talk. But I did go to the site first thing in the morning, knowing that he would be there, and inspected it, and everything looked fine to me. I get a phone call, he says, the first floor hung balcony is lopsided. I said, Donald, I'm sure it's okay. I'm sure I've looked. It's not right, get it fixed. Click. So I got out of bed, wrapped myself in 87 layers, went up 3rd Avenue and stood there in the snow, staring at it from every angle, and I'll be damned.
From 500 yards, the boss had somehow spotted a balcony that was lying 1/2 inch off kilter.
I had 103, but there I was, and there we were chopping that balcony off, and it was being totally set and poured again. And he was just waiting for me to call him to tell me he could come and look at it again. And he did.
Donald and Ivana had 3 children by this time. The power couple relaxed on weekends in their estate in Connecticut, but home was on the top 3 floors of Trump Tower. Looking out from that height, one could look down the New Jersey coast and almost see his next target of opportunity, the gambling casinos of Atlantic City. The New York real estate market was extremely volatile, but in the world of gambling, there was always a steady cash flow. Donald made a deal to purchase the perfect piece of property to build a casino on in Atlantic City. To negotiate the purchase, he hired a lawyer as sharp as he was.
He sat down behind his chair and he leaned back in his chair and he looked at me and he said, you know, I've never had a lawyer who looks younger than I am, can do the job that I need done. And I said, well, Mr. Trump, this is going to be a very short meeting because I've never had a client who is younger than I am that could pay my bills. Donald got up from behind the chair, stuck out his hand, he said, you're hired. There are 2 stipulations.
Ribis was a good choice in lawyers. Not only did he secure the piece of property Trump wanted, he helped get him the coveted gaming license required to run a casino. Donald Trump was now poised to spread his wings in Atlantic City, just as he had in Manhattan. Things in New Jersey would never be the same.
You're watching real estate mogul Donald Trump on Biography. A&E's look at Donald Trump continues on Biography.
In the early 1980s, Donald Trump was ready to make his move on Atlantic City. But he had a problem. He didn't know the casino business. So he made one of his trademark deals with a company that knew the gambling game, Holiday Inn, the proprietor of Harrah's in Atlantic City. The story goes that to pull off his deal, he arranged a show for the Holiday Inn executives.
The story he tells is that he arranged to have every available tractor and trailer and piece of construction equipment on the East Coast coalesce at the site in order that construction activity, until that time virtually nil, could seem to be bustling and active, if not over the top, if not, building the Roman Colosseum. Donald's style when it comes to the truth is creative and very much a part of who he is. He's a carnival barker. He's a P.T. Barnum. The truth is for university ethics professors.
I don't mind the fact that he cons me half the time. It's part of his charm.
Con job or not, 2 years after construction started, Donald Trump unveiled the fruits of his latest deal, Harrah's at Trump Plaza. The developer from Queens, conqueror of Manhattan, was now in the gambling business on the boardwalk of Atlantic City. It was one of the splashiest openings the people on the splashy boardwalk had ever seen, and the master of ceremonies was just as splashy.
5 or 6 years ago, we looked over the premises of the area. We saw things, and we see what we see today. And we built a building. And we feel the building is going to be the finest building, and we hope not only in Atlantic City, but anywhere in the country, maybe anywhere in the world.
And Trump himself had crossed over from dealmaker developer to celebrity.
All of a sudden, it was like, you know, it was like walking down the street with Cary Grant or something, you know. People would come up, "You're Donald Trump, you're Donald. Would you sign my handbag, sign my shirt, sign my sweater? This is my kid, sign his shirt, sign his forehead, you know, do anything."
But Atlantic City had not seen anything yet. After maneuvering to take over total ownership of Harrah's, he found another chain ready to do business. This time, it was the famous Hilton Hotel. It had sunk millions into a hotel casino complex, then, 12 weeks before it was slated to open, failed to get the single most important thing in Atlantic City, a gaming license. Trump struck.
The Hilton chain called their empty facility the Castle. Trump offered them $320 million for it. He had not even seen it, but he knew a deal when he smelled it. The deal was sealed, and now Trump's castle lit up the marina in Atlantic City. Ivana Trump, now executive vice president in charge of design, became its president. There were now two top executives in the same family, in one respect in competition with each other, since he still ran the old casino there and she ran the new one.
Donald has so much of the energy, and you have to be right there. If I would be a very calm person and low-key, which is nothing wrong in that. If I would be that kind of person, I'm just positively going to be chewed alive, you know, and so he's very energetic.
Ivana was a very sharp, smart lady. She was the other side of Donald. She's the mirror of him. And after a while, you just don't want to be under the sheets and on top of a mattress with a CEO.
I didn't want to go home after having dealt with all of my casinos and all of my hotels and all of my buildings all day long, and then walk through the doors at 7:30 and have to listen for an hour and a half about the castle. She became an executive, not a wife.
The Trump marriage may have started showing some cracks, but the Trump touch was still golden.
The institutions that finance what I have, they happen to be in love with Donald Trump. But they're not in love with me because I'm a nice guy or anything. They're in love with me because everything I've done has been a tremendous winner.
Master of the deal, Donald Trump decided to pull off his biggest win so far. He would complete not just the biggest casino in Atlantic City, but the biggest casino hotel complex in the entire world. It was called the Taj Mahal, and investors coughed up $750 million so he could finish it. It would take a while to build the world's biggest casino, but Trump found other avenues to pursue in Atlantic City. The city's convention center was located adjacent to his Trump Plaza casino. So Trump started dragging not just high rollers from Las Vegas, but now championship boxing matches.
Michael Tyson, 218 pounds and 1/4.
Now, into Atlantic City came the big fights and the celebrities to watch them. But the fight game was a little more than just another gambit to get people to spend their money in Atlantic City.
Special edition Atlantic City Express souvenir. Get it now, get it hot.
It also was an insight into what makes Trump tick.
There's something I love about the basics of boxing. It's two men in a ring slugging it out. There's no con. You just have to rely on yourself, both your mental and your physical ability. And there's something very beautiful about those basics that I've always admired in the boxers. Boxing also is a tremendous draw for us in Atlantic City.
I have this vision of Trump seating these young investment bankers at a heavyweight fight with Mike Tyson, and these guys saying, we gotta lend this guy some money. He is the hottest developer going. This guy has got it. He's got the knack, he's got the touch. And I think that's what happened. Everybody wanted a piece of him, and he gladly gave it to him.
The billionaire builder was suddenly living like one. Nothing was now beyond his financial reach, and like many of the other super rich, he started collecting material things for his own personal use. Trophies, he called them.
Yeah, you're gonna like this one, I think. It's a little bit different. This is different than a building. We're getting tired of the building.
First, there was the yacht. Not just any yacht, but one of the biggest yachts in the world, formerly owned by the richest individual in the world, the Sultan of Brunei. He renamed it the Trump Princess. Then there was the house. Not just any house, but one of the grandest homes in America. And he didn't build this one. It was the 118-room estate called Mar-a-Lago, built in opulent Palm Beach back in the 1920s. Then there was the airline. New Yorkers woke up one day and found that the Eastern Shuttle, which whisked them back and forth between LaGuardia Airport and Washington, was now the Trump Shuttle. Then there was the book. Like all celebrities, he could not resist the temptation to tell the world how he got where he was. He found a co-writer, and they came up with The Art of the Deal, which hit the bestseller list. And just when everyone thought there was no way he could trump himself, he did. The historic Elegant Plaza Hotel had sat on Grand Army Plaza on Manhattan's Fifth Avenue for more than 80 years. No hotel in America could match it in prestige. So Donald Trump simply went out and bought it. He persuaded Ivana to give up the Castle Casino in Atlantic City, move back to New York full-time, and run the respected hotel. He now had Atlantic City all to himself. That would turn out to be an important turn of events for Donald Trump.
You're watching real estate mogul Donald Trump on Biography.
There have been hundreds of lives profiled on Biography, including the rags to riches legacies of such families as the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Vanderbilts, and Andrew Carnegie. 10 years of true stories, especially the ones about power and money. I really like those. Happy 10-year anniversary, Biography.
A&E's look at Donald Trump continues on Biography.
Construction of Donald Trump's billion-dollar Taj Mahal complex was behind schedule and getting more expensive every day. Dividing his time between Manhattan and Atlantic City, the Donald had come to depend on several top executives to push the project to completion. But he was about to suffer several personal body blows in quick succession, blows that threatened to wreck his life. First, in October 1989, there was a terrible disaster. His three top gaming executives chartered a helicopter for Atlantic City. En route, it spun out of control and crashed, killing all on board.
Donald was on the phone and it was totally destroyed. He said, I need you right away. You need to go to Atlantic City. You need to get there. I'll meet you there. Donald was very distraught, and they were fine young men, and he had just spent time with them. It was just a tragedy, and you could see why a company would have a problem after that.
With the death of his top casino managers, Donald had a new roster of problems getting the Taj Mahal open. He would have to pull himself and everybody else together. The men who died were irreplaceable, but he was determined that no matter what it took, the Taj Mahal Casino Hotel would be completed. Then the second shoe dropped. Ivana found out that he was not the faithful husband she thought he was.
I remember speaking to her one day at the Waldorf, and I said, is it true that he's having an affair? And she says, what are you talking about? And I said, why don't you just watch yourself?
A few months later, Ivana was face to face with the woman Donald had allegedly been having an affair with, Marla Maples.
So here he is having this affair. He had stashed her at a hotel called the St. Moritz, which he then had. She was in Aspen when his wife, Ivana, was in Aspen. And they had this confrontation on the top of the slopes. And Marla wasn't going anywhere. She was going to get this guy.
This is, in fact, the site of a stormy love triangle.
The confrontation on the ski slopes between Ivana Trump and Marla Maples reverberated around the world.
Ivana Trump und Marla Maples in einem
Wherever I went, the headline in English, in French, in the London papers was Trump, 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 Trump.
But the media frenzy over the Trump marriage problems put Donald right where he wanted to be, on the front page.
Donald once told me, who else do you know that can get their picture on the New York Post 5 days in a row and also have your name in Indochina and Taiwan and all over the country, all over the world, I should say.
Ivana Trump, though, hated the media intrusion in her personal affairs.
I once said to her, honey, why don't you act like a European wife, which means look away. So she says, no, no, I don't have that. I don't have, if he cheats, I don't have him. So she got rid of him.
Ivana Trump filed for divorce, contesting the amount in their prenuptial agreement. She truly believed Donald was a billionaire, so she sued him for half of what he was worth. Whatever the exact figure was then, it would very soon change because the economy was in a recession and the real estate market was plummeting. Donald was liable to his creditors for huge monthly mortgage fees. In hard numbers, once the Taj Mahal opened, gamblers would have to lose more than $1 million a night for Trump to meet his commitments.
Real estate developer Donald Trump opened his new casino, the Taj Mahal, in Atlantic City today. It is the world's largest casino. It apparently cost nearly $1 billion, which certainly makes it the most expensive.
Here's America's foremost entrepreneur, Mr. Donald Trump.
It was another glitzy opening for the Trump empire. But there was more bad luck for the gambler dealmaker. During the first week the Taj Mahal opened, the state shut down many of its slot machines because of incomplete record keeping. The problem was fixed in a few days, but the loss of revenue, coupled with falling real estate values, brought Donald Trump to the brink. Suddenly, he was not in total control.
He had his name signed personally on more money than anybody in the country at that time. He had a goodly amount of money that he owed, and business went bad, and he overextended himself.
I was at the highest of all pedestals. And then one day, the pedestal was knocked out from under me. I went from the very highest point, the hottest in the country, the highest point, and then all of a sudden I'm getting horrendous front page articles that we predict that he won't be able to make it back, and this and that, and he's finished.
Well, the name Taj Mahal means crown of the palace. Donald Trump's crown is in hock tonight. Trump has been forced to put his Taj Mahal hotel and casino in Atlantic City into bankruptcy because he couldn't pay his debts.
The first thing Donald's creditors did was to take liens on his equity in the casinos.
Let's go, guys!
And they demanded he hire a chief financial officer to take charge of his debts.
I will say that I got a little lazy because everything in the late 70s, mid 70s, and throughout the 80s was not a home run, but a grand slam. I mean, everything I touched turned to gold.
I have trouble envisioning Donald Trump as lazy. I think distracted might have been a better word. He installed his wife in the Trump Castle Casino at one end of the boardwalk to run it, and while she was running it, he was running around with Marla Maples, and I'm sure that required some management skill, some of which might have otherwise been devoted to running the casino.
Donald's creditors, however, did not elect to force him into further bankruptcy.
The only hope of getting repaid by Donald was to keep him in business, and that's what the creditors did.
His new financial advisors got him to sell off a lot of his properties to pay off the loans on his casinos. The market rebounded, and so did Donald Trump.
We've cleaned up our balance sheet. Donald has all the things he had before and more.
If you set Donald Trump down in the middle of the Mojave Desert, he would open a soft drink stand. He will never go down.
Donald resolved his financial matters with Ivana as well. She settled for $14 million and the family home in Connecticut. But as this commercial reveals, they still knew how to get together and make money.
May I have the last size?
Actually, you're only entitled to half.
Large is $9.99.
Donald now had a bankrupt empire
and a bankrupt marriage behind him. He was about to replace both of them.
You're watching real estate mogul Donald Trump on Biography. A&E's look at Donald Trump continues on Biography.
By the early 90s, Donald Trump was starting to put it all back together with Marla Maples, an aspiring actress 17 years his junior. In so many ways, she was the opposite of the older, more worldly Ivana.
I'm a country girl. I like New York in doses, you know, like medium doses, not huge, huge doses.
I don't believe down deep in his gizzard he wanted to marry Marla. He might have wanted to have Marla. He might have wanted to own Marla. He might have wanted to play.
Maybe he was not ready for marriage, but like a loyal wife, Marla was always there when he needed her.
He's gone through creating so much here in New York and Atlantic City, and has gone through the difficult times with the real estate market and come back up again. So we've really been there together through a lot of ups and downs.
And like a loyal wife, she was going to give him a child. They held a news conference to announce that Marla was pregnant, and a few months later, he was with her when their daughter was born.
He actually cut the cord. He cut the cord when Tiffany was born. It's something you never forget for the rest of your life. Yeah, it's really, really sweet.
After signing a prenuptial agreement for a mere $1 million, the Georgia Peach got her man. But no quiet family ceremony for Donald Trump. He staged a lavish reception at the Plaza Hotel.
I went to his first wedding. I went to his second wedding. There are some people who are not fond of him who say I will probably go to his catered divorce.
Donald has his people who like him and people who dislike him. People respect him and people who don't want anything to do with him.
The people that don't like Donald Trump are usually the people that don't know me, and therefore I don't care, because there's nothing to be insulted about. You know, they read the newspapers, and the newspapers write what they want to write.
Here we go, sweetheart.
Getting married to the mother of his daughter was part of Donald's new comeback. If he wasn't always a paragon of virtue in his first marriage, he always cherished his family.
If I'm in the middle of a very major business transaction and if one of my kids call, I'll delay that transaction. Talk to my child, because to me that's the most important thing there is.
Donald calls his parents every day. My sister calls. My brother Robert calls. We've maintained every bit of closeness that we had as kids.
He really has the desire to have me be more of the traditional wife. He definitely wants his dinner promptly served at 7, and if he's home at 6:30, it should be ready by 6:30.
But yes, he does want that. But he also wants her to be something important because it feeds his ego.
Still, the most important factor for Donald's ego is his economic comeback and the continuing survival of his empire.
I think he certainly made a good comeback. No question about that. I mean, he's gotten his company listed publicly at the New York Stock Exchange.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here, and we will be working very hard to make your purchases look very, very good. Thank you very much.
Endorsement that he got from the public by buying all the bonds that he issued, that's a vote of confidence that you can't believe. You're talking about $1 billion plus.
Billions of dollars come and go, but Donald Trump has never lost his billion-dollar ego.
Okay, bye, everybody.
I'm one of the biggest real estate people in the world, and in New York, if not the biggest, and the biggest hotel casino person ever in Atlantic City, with a huge amount of the market and the market share.
Getting back operating control of his casinos has given him the cash flow to remain a major player in New York and Atlantic City, and he probably will never have trouble finding backers.
I don't know whether exactly the same group of bankers would lend him exactly the same amount of money again, but I think they would certainly return his phone calls to see what he had on his mind next. He is creative.
In my opinion, Donald hasn't even started yet. You have not seen yet what Donald Trump will build in this world?
Well, his name, I feel from my travels around the world, is immediately identifiable. His name is valuable. I believe his name brings business.
It's German in derivation, and nobody really knows where it came from. It's very unusual. But it just is a good name to have. And hopefully I took it to a level where even it did not expect to be.
He's not purporting to be Mother Teresa. He is not purporting to be anything beyond what he is. He is what he is. He's a high-class, Wharton-educated, brilliant con man. And I think he's the best at it.
Con man or master of the deal, where does he go from here?
First New York, next the world.
Donald Trump's latest mantra might be, today, New York, tomorrow, Detroit. He has just opened his latest New York real estate jewel, the Trump International Hotel Tower on New York's Columbus Circle. It's a gleaming tower full of suites that he describes as only the best. But he is not content to confine his business dealings any longer to the New York, New Jersey area. He is looking forward to adding to his collection of casinos in Atlantic City and has his eyes fixed on the Motor City. The city passed a referendum last year allowing legalized gambling, and Donald Trump is in the hunt for 3 licenses to build casinos in the Detroit area. He has partnered with a car dealer, Mel Farr, a former Detroit Lion player, and the second richest African-American in the country. Trump feels he may have an edge over other bidders. He believes the power of the Trump name will spur housing development in the Detroit area. Tomorrow on Biography, Jane Mansfield. In the 50s, she broke the beauty mold of her day. Her dream was to become a movie star on par with Marilyn Monroe. But her life was cut short, and her story remains one of the most tragic in the annals of Tinseltown. Jane Mansfield, Friday on Biography. For A&E, I'm Jack Perkins.
Now you can own a video cassette of this program. Call 1-800-423-1212 and you'll receive the program you've just seen for only $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-800-423-1212. Now see the 7 wonders of the ancient world on an all-new Ancient Mysteries, next on A&E.